So here's what you do. You can go through this tutorial, but wherever you need to take a break, as in if you think I'm going a bit fast, just pause the video and then just follow through the instructions, or you can rewind the video and then replay again. So do it at your own pace. So I will give you a step-by-step guide on how to use the ProjectLibre or MS Project, whichever, because both are similar steps actually. Most of the project scheduling software, they have the same steps, right? So it's universal, so you can use it for any software, right? So I was explaining, let me share this slide with you. I was explaining about the practical session just now, and I mentioned how to go about doing the scheduling. And you just have to remember 10 steps only, right? This is my guideline. Usually, whenever I teach the basic elementary MS project or scheduling, there are 10 steps only you have to do, right? So if you master these 10 steps, you can do any scheduling, right? But of course, to cover the entire scheduling topic itself is a huge topic, right? Usually I'll take about 2-3 days to cover the entire thing. So instead of going through the everything, every single feature that's available in the software, I'll just cover the most basic, but the most important ones, right? So there are 10 steps. So here are the 10 steps. So just try to recall this. Just try to remember this because I'm not going to come back to this slide once I enter ProjectLibre. So step number one, as I mentioned, please make sure that you create your work breakdown structure using paper or using any other tools that you have, right, or Excel or whatever. Draw it out first. Draw the entire WBS at level 4, level 5, as long as you have the activities, right? So activities must be there in your planning. So once you have already planned your WBS, then you can go to ProjectLibre, right? So ProjectLibre or Microsoft Project. So first thing that you do in once you arrive at the software is before you even start your project, there will never be a situation where the moment you create a schedule, that's the day the project starts, right? So that unless you are bad in planning. So we always plan something for ahead, right? So our project might start 1 week later or 2 weeks later or even 2-3 months later, but we want to commence the planning, right? Our thought process now itself. So therefore, while you are doing all of this structure, please enter the project start date when exactly and officially the project starts. That's the first thing that you got to do. Yeah. So later I'll show you how that is done. Number three is you set up all the public holidays, right? So I will also show you later some hints on where to get these information about public holidays. Number four is whatever you have done in number one, which is plan using work breakdown structure again, tadi. So those information which is on paper or in your thoughts or in Excel or whichever form it is, now you transfer them into MS Project by or ProjectLibre by entering all of those activity. Yeah. So this is where when you enter this information, you need to understand two terms, indent and outdent, right? So as you come up with a structure, when you enter WBS level 1, which is the project name, after WBS level 1, you will start entering WBS level 2, and then you indent them so that it'll be under the project name, right? And then for each one of them, if there are activities, you enter those activities and then indent them so that you'll be part of phase level 2 of WBS. So I'll show you the concept in a practical aspect later on as well. Yeah. Next one, after you enter all these activities and you have indented all this structure properly, the next thing you got to do is enter the task duration, right? And their task duration itself, there are many ways of entering. I'll show it to you later on as well as part of the tutorial. Number 6 will be entering the predecessor. Predecessor, remember, you have to remember the four things, 4 plus 2, right? In fact, 4 plus 2. What are those four things? I've mentioned about the relationship, right? Finish to start relationship, start to start relationship, finish to finish relationship, and start to finish, right? So let me repeat: finish to start, finish to finish, start to finish. These four relationships you must be familiar with. And then the other two that I mentioned is the lead and the lag, right? Lead means you accelerate the task, and lag means you delay a task by a certain number of days or weeks or whatever. So that's the concept you must understand when you enter the predecessor. Okay. The next one, item number 7, is entering the resource name, right? So this is very important. I have seen a lot of planning where people just enter generic names, a group of marketing team, right? So the thing is, marketing, you might have 10 people working on your assignment, right? So I know that this is a project. You're supposed to work as a project team, right? But when it comes to a proper planning, you shouldn't put it as a group, right? Instead, you should actually assign, if there are 10 people within marketing group, you must tell each one of the person, hey guys, you are responsible for doing this. Second person, you are responsible for doing this. Third person, you are supposed to be doing this. You must go item by item, as in resource by resource. Why? Because we don't want a situation of resource underloading, right? So we don't want, we want to optimize the utilization of resources. We don't want a situation where some people are just relaxing and underutilized. Some people are working like crazy. So don't group them as marketing, because as as holistic it sounds, it's not a good planning, right? So we must take accountability for every single resource that we have. So therefore, plan out, yeah, hire the right amount of people for your project, assign them individually, right? That's for resource name. And number 8 is costing. Costing, earlier in the class, I mentioned to you what is the formula for calculating the cost. So remember, I mentioned three parameters, right? So in order for you to do costing, you must know three things. Number one is which resource is doing that particular task. That's the first thing. Second thing is you must know what's their salary. Now, if you cannot find, or if you think the salary is a little too sensitive for you to find out, right? Usually it is. What you do is you go to your HR department, and instead of asking for the person's salary, you ask for the rankings salary grade, right? Like, for example, maybe vice president, may I know what is the minimum salary, maximum salary? Yeah, find out that kind of grading from your HR. Managers, how much is the minimum salary, maximum salary? Senior manager, how much is your minimum, maximum? So you find out the grading. And then a lot of people use from the minimum and maximum, they take the average, right? But in my case, I don't do that. I actually take the maximum, right? So depending on the preference, right? So I cannot say my method is the right method. The reason why I use that is it allows some contingency in case, right? So it's up to you. You can use the average or you can take the highest. And the last, actually done. Number 8, done already, right? That's how you set up your project. Number 9 and number 10, it's more for tracking or your progress. So what you have to do, you have to baseline your project so that you can start tracking the progress of your project. So that's number 9. And I also mentioned that the use of a milestone, right? Milestone is more of a mini deadline. So if you use a deadline and you impose it on your team members, usually for long-term projects, if it's a 1 year of projects or something, there is a tendency to relax a little, right, at the early stage of the project, right? So they might procrastinate, and they might say, it's only 1 more year to go. So for this month, we take it lightly, we take it slowly. So what we do is we create milestones by imposing certain deadlines. This month, end of this month, for example. So at the end of this month, these are the things that I need to get it done or completed. Approvals must be completed, right? So the sign off by the sponsor must be done by this month, right? And then next month, what are the things that needs to be achieved? So you create this kind of little milestones so that people have some motivations to work towards a deadline, right? That's how a human brain works. They need a motivation. Yeah, well, that's one category of human. They work based on this kind of motivation. Yeah, so capitalize on it. Do not use a deadline, but use a milestone to push people. So this, in summary, is the 10 steps towards developing a project schedule. Now, let me now switch to ProjectLibre, and I'm not going to go through this slide anymore. I'm going to go direct into ProjectLibre. And if you think you want to come back and refer to this slide again anytime, just bring your video back to this slide, and you can just revise it. But as far as the tutorial is concerned, I'm going to go 100% on ProjectLibre for now, right? So let me just pause the recording and then turn the ProjectLibre on, and I'll start entering the informations. So by the way, sorry, before that, item number one, I think let me show it to you what I intend to do as part of this case study, right? So step number one, plan using work breakdown structure. So this is what I intend to do in the ProjectLibre later on, so that you can see and you can follow through the steps, right? So it's more for IT projects. So what I've done is I've created an IT project as a work breakdown structure, number one, right? Level number one. And under this IT project, right? So I use the word under, yeah. So under IT project, there are 5 phases. So these are the WBS level number 2, which is requirement phase, analysis phase, uh, coding phase, testing phase, implementation phase. So these are the 5 phases that you have. And for WBS level 3, for each one of them, let's say for requirement phase, I have 4 activities. Plan requirement, conduct interview, document URS, obtain URS approval. Under analysis phase, design DFD, develop a design document, develop test cases, obtain design approval, and so on for all of them, right? So later on, you use this slide as a basis for you to enter your data in your ProjectLibre, right? While you are doing this practical session, right? I've also created other things like, that I mentioned to you, that once you go to ProjectLibre, you got to enter the start date and then enter all the details. So let's start now. Let's start with this step 2. Step 1, assuming it's already done, the WBS. So we go to step 2 now. All right, team. So I have opened up the ProjectLibre. So if you are in your laptop, you can also open up the ProjectLibre. So the moment you open ProjectLibre, it'll ask you this question. Do you want to create a new project, or do you want to open an existing project? Right. So for now, we don't have any existing project. So let's create a new project. Now, the moment you create a new project, it'll ask you some few basic questions. First thing is, obviously, every project will have a name, right? Uh, so enter the name of the project here. That reminds me, when I was in Disney in Hong Kong, all the names in of a project must be somehow related to the Disney theme. Yeah, the Disney characters like Project Pocahontas or Project Mickey or Project Donald or something like that, right? So branding, yeah, branding. But it creates a sense of unity and togetherness in among the team members, because we have a I call it a Ubuntu, right? We have a common shared value or shared theme. So create a project name that has, something that creates a level of unity within your team members, right? If possible. Of course, there are some projects which are very formal, right? So that one you can't help it. So in this case, I'll just generically call it IT project, right? So the manager here refers to the project manager's name. It's optional, right? So if you want to enter the project name, you can actually enter it here. The next one is actually start date. Now, this is the one that I said, step number 2, right? So define project start date. First thing you got to do is find out when exactly you are starting. So if you are doing a forward planning, then you enter start date. And if you are doing a backward planning, that means the deadline is fixed and then you want to plan backwards, you untick this and you'll see the word finish date, right? Then you can plan backwards. So for now, we are doing forward schedule or forward planning. So we'll have a start date. And let's say our project start date is actually May 21st. So I choose May 1st, right? May 1st. That's the project name. So I create OK here. So step number 1, done. right? Step number 1 done. So which is defining, not step number 1, step number 2 done, which is defining project start date, right? So next one, step number 3 is setting up your public holidays. So now let me show you how to set up a public holiday, right? So from your screen here, you can see under file, you can see the word calendar here, right? So you click at this button called calendar, and that will pop out your calendar screen. So from the calendar screen, you can choose the date when exactly is the holidays, then you can register them as a non-working day. Right now, the question is, just now I asked, where do you get all this information about public holidays in Malaysia? So I don't have the source. So therefore, here is the source. Let me show it to you by turning to a browser. 1 second, yeah. All right. So if I just switch to browser, and if you can see this option, right? So I am now in a browser, and here's your domain. It's called www.publicholidays.com.my. And once you enter this, you can see a list of all the holidays, national holiday, including state holiday as well, right? So it will be maintained and kept up to date as well. So you can see all the holidays, from January and so on. So now in May, we have a number of holidays. So May 1st, we have Labor Day. May 3rd, that's not a national holiday, right? So the next national holiday is Vesak Day. So May 1st and May 7th is a Vesak Day, right? And then May 10, we have Nuzul Quran. And May 24, 25, 26 is Hari Raya. All right, so I'm going to enter these dates, right? So hopefully I can remember Vesak Day is actually 7 and Nuzul Quran is actually 10. So I am now back to ProjectLibre. So when I look at this ProjectLibre, and so we have May 1st as a holiday, right? It's a Labor Day. So what you do is you click at May 1st and then change May 1st to become a non-working time. And you can see a red color here, which indicates that it's actually is a holiday. Next one is May 7, right? May 7 supposed to be a Vesak day. So you click at May 7, make that to be a non-working day, right? And then May 10 is also a holiday, and so that means May 11, which is a Monday, is also a holiday. We make that to be a non-working holiday, non-working time. And the last one is 24, 25, 26. So 25 is a Sunday, so I don't have to worry. So 25, 26. If you just press the click button, you'll only select one date. So what you do is you click the first one and then you hold the shift key and then click the second one or the last one. So both of these dates will be highlighted. Then you make this a non-working time, right? And if you click OK, right, and you will notice that you can see the screen there is actually a gray color, but this gray color is actually for the weekends, right, the weekends. But if the day is actually declared as a public holiday, uh, you will find another gray color here, right? So that's how it works out. Okay, so step number 3 is actually done. Now comes step number 4. Step number 4 is basically entering all your work breakdown structure informations. So here is what you do. You enter all the data that I've provided to you just now in the earlier screen, right? So just look at step number 4 in your slide, right? And you can see all the details. So let me enter all of those informations here. So you have IT project, which is level 1. And then level 2, you have a requirement phase. And then you have analysis phase. And then you have a coding phase, you have a testing phase, and then you have an implementation phase. All right. Now, This requirement phase, analysis phase, coding phase, testing phase, and implementation phase is under IT projects. So what you do is you highlight by clicking here, and then you go to the last one, hold the shift key and press the click button again. You'll highlight the whole range, right? So let me repeat again, yeah. So you go to the first one, you click once, go to the last one, hold the shift key and press click, and the whole range will be highlighted. So this, I want it to be indented inside IT project. So to indent, you go to task and then choose, there is an indent button here, choose indent. So that will indent it inside IT project. Notice that IT project is now in bold. The rest of them are under IT project, right? Now for level 3, there's a lot of data to be entered. Each one of these has 4 activities. So here's what I'm going to do. Under requirement, there are 4 activities. So I select under requirement and then I press the insert key 4 times. Similarly, under analysis, there are 4 activities. So I press the insert key 4 times. Under coding, there are 4 activities. So I press the insert key 4 times. Under testing phase, there are another 4 more. So I press the indent key 4 times. Under implementation, there's 4. So that's anyway, there's nothing after that. So we'll enter the data later. So under requirement phase, I have plan requirement. So I enter the data here, plan requirement. Next one is conduct interview. Next one is document your user requirement specification. Next one is obtain your URS approval. Right? So all of these 4, plan requirement, conduct interview, document URS, obtain your URS approval, is under requirement phase. So what you do is you highlight all of these 4 and then you press the indent key. So when you press indent, these 4 items will be under requirement phase. Right? So notice that. So similarly, let's do for analysis. So we have design, we have D, we have develop design document, you have developed test cases, you have obtained design approval. So now these 4, same thing, you highlight them, indent it so that it becomes under analysis phase. Now let me go to coding phase. Coding phase, we have develop module, you have update test plan, you have update training materials, you have develop user manual. Once you have done that, highlight these 4 items, indent it so that it becomes part of coding phase. Now testing phase. Testing, I have conduct system integration test, fix defects found, update test plan, and the last one would be perform quality assurance, right? So these 4 I highlight and I indent inside. And the last one is implementation phase. Implementation, we have conduct training, we have update user manual, we have develop just to save time, I just type DR plan and implement SLA, right? And this 4 is under implementation phase. Indent it inside. So now all your data is ready, right? So step 4 is now completed. Next step is step 5, which is basically entering your project duration. So let's enter all the duration. So duration, you should not enter under this heading, yeah. Whichever is bold, do not enter, but only enter in the activity. Alright, so let me enter all of this date. You can follow the same data that I enter here so that for this tutorial purpose, it'll be more consistent so that you won't get left out later on. So here's the data that you enter. So you can enter 5D. D stands for days, right? So whenever you want to enter days, you type D. Whenever you want to type week, you enter W. Whenever you want to enter hours, for example 5 hour, you just put H. Whenever you want to enter minutes, then you type M. Whenever you want to type months, then you put MO, right, or MON. Yeah, so these are the various combinations that you have. So in my case, I want to put 5 days. Next one is 4 days. Next one is 7 days, 2 days, right? So just for data entry purposes, I use this dummy data 6, 4, 10, and 3. And the next one is 21, 5, 6, 4. And you can see some red color things are being formed there. The rest are all blue color. Red color means this particular thing is the longest part. So this is the critical part at the moment. Conduct system integration test is 12 days, 15 days, 3 days, 10 days. And the last one, conduct training, is 3 days, 4 days, 10 days, and 3 days. Right? So I have now entered step number 5, which is enter the task duration. But do you notice one thing? The Gantt chart is not really a Gantt chart yet, right? It's being formed, but it doesn't have the Gantt chart structure. So to have that Gantt chart structure, you have to enter the predecessor. Remember the predecessor I mentioned, the FS relationship, FF, SF, and all this relationship, right? So now let's define what is the predecessor for the first one. Plan requirement is the first activity. So usually first activity, you won't have predecessors usually, right? So we leave it blank. Next one is conduct interview. What is a predecessor? Predecessor means what's the one activity before this? I want this conduct interview to start here. That means after plan requirement, right? After plan requirement. Plan requirement is here. Plan requirement, the line number is 3, right? So I want it to start. I want the conduct interview to start after line number 3. So predecessor, you type there 3. Right? And you notice the Gantt chart is being formed. So after number 3, then this one will start. Number 4 will start. Right? So that's how you enter predecessor. Document URS, I want it to be after conduct interview. Conduct interview is in line number 4. So therefore, I type there 4. Right? So now you can see the Gantt chart is being formed. Obtain URS approval 5. So now similarly, I'm going to enter all of this data just to speed up things. So you enter 6, 8, 9, 10. This one you enter 11, 13, 14, 15. Right? The next one would be 16, 18, 19, and 20. The next one will be 21, 23, 24, and 25. Right? So Gantt chart is now ready, almost there, all red color, because the entire project is in one single part. Right? We did not define the parallel activities yet. So that is done. Step number 6 done. Right. I also mentioned that I want to introduce the concept of lead and lag. Right. So this is how you do lead and lag. So let's go to item number. Document URS is in line number 5. So go to line number 5. Document URS. Now I want the document URS which is in line number 5. The predecessor is number 4. Right. So the predecessor is here. I want this document URS to start perhaps 3 days, right? Just before number 4 finishes, just 3 days before this, before it finishes. So how I enter this is, I'll say 4 finish start relationship, 4 finish start minus 3 days, right? 3 days, 3D will do, or you can type the entire word days. And you will notice Gantt chart will move like this, right? So it becomes 3 days before the activity ends, right? So, and notice there's it also goes against the gray color because that's the weekend. Yeah. Did you notice there's a gray color here as well, but it's an extended version compared to all the others. This is where we declare the public holiday just now, right? May something that's actually a holiday. 24, yeah, Hari Raya, right? So Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, right? Next lead and lag that I would like to do is under develop test cases. Item number 9. So let's do this. Item number 9, I want it to start the same date as, sorry, item number 10, I would like this to start the same date as item number 9. So what I do is, I'll say when 9 start, then this one will start as well. Alright, so next one, update training materials. Update training materials is in line number 15. Now this one, here's the condition I would like to have. Right, item number 15 is here. So I want this to start halfway of number 14. So when 14 is 50% done, I want the number 15 to start. Right, so you can also use these kind of parameters, by percentage. So you can say 14 fs minus 50%. When you enter like this, just notice this chart, right? It'll be 50%, right? So let me repeat this. It's currently here, finish to start relationship. So I can say 14 fs minus 50%, right? So you'll jump like this. So it's 50% of the duration of item number 14. And the last one, develop user manual. I want this item, which is line number 16 now. I want it to finish the same time as line number 15. So if I want to finish at the same time, then I say 15, finish relationship, right? So you notice both of them finish at the same time. Yeah, so that's how you enter your predecessor column. And step number 7 is basically entering resource name, right? But for resource name, you can't see any resource here, right? So what you do, actually, there's a lot of columns you can create here, but it's actually hidden. So what you do is you hover your mouse here until you see this arrow, and then just click and drag so that it goes a bit more lengthier. So now you can see the resource name here, right? Now here's the thing, it's slightly different from MS Project. MS Project, you can type the resource name here. In ProjectLibre, you can't enter any names here. It'll give you some error message, right? So it says here you must enter existing resource from your resource pool. So we didn't create a resource pool yet, so it won't allow you to enter. So therefore, here's how you enter, right? So to go to resource, you can see the resource menu here. Select the resource menu and choose the resource button, right? So once you choose the resource button, this is the so-called resource sheet. So let's enter all the resources that we are going to utilize for this project, right? So we are going to utilize a project manager. You can key in exactly like this now. Business analyst 1, business analyst 2, customer will be here, and then system analyst will be here, tester will be part of the project, right? And you also have programmer, coder, and who else? Auditor will play a role in this project. Business analyst 1, business analyst 2 is there already. BA2, right? And who else? That's it, right? So these are all the resources that we have for our project. So once you enter them, you go back to your Gantt chart. How do you go back to your Gantt chart now? You go to task and you can see the Gantt chart. Alright, so now you're back to your original place. So at this moment now you can start entering the resource names. Alright, so you can follow exactly like how I'm keying in now. So for plan requirement will be PM. Now it allows you to enter PM. Next one is business analyst 1 will conduct the interview. Business analyst 2 will actually develop the URS in parallel. Not in parallel, but minus 3 days. And then obtain URS, you can put customer, comma, depending on the software and the geographical location. Some countries use comma, some countries use semicolon. So in my case, let me try with comma. It's a semicolon actually. So the one in our system, it accepts semicolon. So that's how you enter, right? Design DFD, supposed to be a system analyst, tester, system analyst, right? So you can enter all of this data. And coding phase, you can put there coder 1. And then you have SA, BA1, right? System integration test, you have tester 1. Oh, what happened to the tester? Oh no, there's no tester one. There's only tester. Right. Fixed defects found. Folder one. Update test plan. SA and perform QA will be done by your audit team. And the last one is conduct training done by BA1 and update user manual will be done by BA2. PM will be looking after the disaster recovery plan and also implement the SLA, right? So resource is now done, right? So resource was supposed to be step number 7, so it's now done. And step number 8 supposed to be the last one, right? I mentioned that last one is supposed to be a step number 8. So step number 8 is basically to come up with a costing, right? So let's see how I can come up with a costing. Remember that 3 formulas that I mentioned? How to figure out that costing, right? So based on resource name. So resource we already entered already, right? So resource is already there. Next one, we have to enter their salary, right? Monthly salary, so that it will automatically calculate the rates for you. Third one, we need to have duration. And remember, duration is already here, right? The entire duration. So we have the resource name, we have the duration already, but we just do not have the salary information of all the resources, right? So here's what you do. First step is you can go to maybe just on that name, right? Click at name and then you right click at the name because I don't see any cost information, right? So you insert a column and you can find a lot of columns here, right? There's hundreds of columns here. Search for cost, right? Search for the column called cost, C-O-S-T. There you go. Even though there are many other costs, just choose the cost column. Once you choose the cost column, now it will show you 0 because you didn't enter the salary yet, right? But at least we created that column now, right? Now let's go back and enter the salary information. How do you do that? You go to resource, right? And under resource, you select this resource sheet. And under this resource sheet, each one of these resources will enter their salary. All right. So this is how we enter the salary. You look at the standard rate column. So maybe the project manager it earns $10,000 per month. So you put there slash MO. MO stands for month, right? And next one will be, I can't see the role. Right, here you go. All right. So the role is BA1. BA1 actually earns, let's say, assuming is $4,000 per month, right? And BA2 actually earns $4,000 per month as well. And customer earns nothing, I mean, because they are customer, right? They don't pay us. SA is earning, let's say, 7,000. So try to enter the data as similar as mine so that it's easier to synchronize all our data and our findings. So where am I looking at? I'm now looking at SA. SA salary would be $7,000 per month. Next one is tester. Tester salary is let's put it as 3,000 per month. Sorry, 3,000 per month. 3,000 slash MO per month, right? Holder salary is 2,000 per month. And audit department, audit team salary is 6,000 per month. All right. So after you enter this, you enter this information. Voila, done. Done. That's all. Right. So remember, you need 3 parameters, right? The resource name is already in the Gantt chart. Duration is in the Gantt chart. I just have to enter their salary. So now let's take a look at our Gantt chart. So you go to task, select Gantt chart, and notice salary is automatically, sorry, not salary, your cost is automatically calculated. How do you get 2005? This person's rate and this person's the resource name, the rate, and also the duration is based on that. Right, but if you notice, this one is does not divide by 22. ProjectLibre is actually defaulted to 20 days per month. So you got to customize it. You got to modify some settings to make it 22, right? But so for now, it's using 20 days, 20 man days. So that's how easy it is to set up a resource right? And there is another thing that you can use under resource, which is material resource, right? So for material resources, similar, you go back to the resource under resource sheet, and under resource sheet, let's say for my project, yeah, I need to bring some material resource. So let's say I need to buy projector. All right. So this time, don't put it as work. Work means it's human resource. Change that to material resource. Right. So how much does a projector cost? Projector, maybe it will cost at least about, let's say, example is 5,000 ringgit. Right. Per unit, per unit. So if you want to mention the word unit, you go to these material labels, enter the word unit so that it will show you that, it's one unit of projector, right? So enter material labels here. Now, go back to Gantt chart, which is task, and select Gantt chart. Now, let's say under plan requirement, you notice the rate is actually 2,500, right? For when I want to, before I go and conduct the interview, I need to buy this projector. So what I'll do is, I will change the resource. PM is one of the resource. Projector is the other resource. Right. So the moment I enter projector, notice the rate, project rate becomes 7,500. Right. Because that's a single utilization of a projector. Right. So that's how you enter the material resources. Yeah. So that's a little bit about resources. Now, step 9 talks about how do you track a project. Now, during the session earlier, I mentioned Gantt chart is not the best. You notice the Gantt chart here, right? So Gantt chart, I'll tell you what is the problem with Gantt chart. All right. So you got your Gantt chart here. You present to your bosses. You present to your management, and your management is actually very happy, All right. And then for 1 week, you never work on this. And you said, hey, how lah? I never actually, do any activities here. So how shall I lie to my boss here? Now notice currently is May 4th, right? May 4th, right? If I change the date to May 11, look at the Gantt chart. The entire Gantt chart shifted. Can you tell me whether project got delayed or not? You can't see, right? There's no transparency here in the Gantt chart. So this is the problem with Gantt chart, there's no tracking. You won't know whether they actually delayed or not. Yeah. But in most of the management, they love to see Gantt chart because it looks nice. It's presentable, it's visual. But behind information like whether they are delayed and so on, they can't see. Right? So therefore, how do you make sure that we are able to see the delays? So therefore, now the next step is we must, after you design this whole thing, we must baseline this schedule. Right? Once you baseline, that means you actually approving this schedule. Once you baseline, then you can start tracking. So here's how you baseline. Go to tasks. Under the task, did you notice this word called save baseline? Right. So when you click save baseline, it will ask you what you want to baseline for now, because this is the first time you are doing it, right? So you baseline the entire project. Later, when you add some new activities, a few activities, you just baseline those activities. So for now is baseline entire project. So when I click entire project, take note of this Gantt chart. Gantt chart will now have two bar, two bar, right? So I click OK. Now you see there's a two bar there. Below that there's a gray color. On top there is a red color, right? So the one below and on top is actually red color. So now let's see. I want to modify the date, or I want to modify the duration. Currently is 5 days, right? I change this to 10 days. Notice red color extends to 10 days, but the gray color remains as 5 days. And because my project is delayed by 5 days, every single thing, the gray color here remains, because that's your originally planned date, right? So therefore, you can also expect the end of the project to be delayed, right? This is originally where you're supposed to finish, but now you're delayed. Alright, this is the beauty of baselining. Baselining, you'll see tracking. Right, so that's one thing. That's one way of tracking. Second thing about tracking is you must also keep track of percentage complete. Now I don't see any percentage complete here. So therefore I want to add one column called percentage complete. So let's say I want the percentage complete to be before name. So you highlight the name, click at name, right click at the name, select insert and search for the word percentage complete. Percent. There you go, percent complete. Right? So when you select percentage complete and you click OK, then you will see a percentage complete here. Right? So currently it's all 0%, right? Now this is the bottom up approach. Notice this. If I type 50 here, right, 50% complete. So this is how you actually keep track, keep track of all your progress, enter the percentage complete. But Gantt chart will also change. It will also show you the percentage complete here as well. Right? One bar inside that bar, 50% done. Right? Conduct interview, let's say 100% done. So there you go. Right? 100% done. There's two things. Whenever you put 100% done, that means this is done already, right? Completed. So it will give you a tick mark here as well. Task was completed. Right? And let's say this is 40% done and this is 50% done. When you total up all of these, 50 plus 40 plus 100 plus 50, average is actually 54% for the requirement phase. But for the entire project, so far you've done 12%. So you'll automatically roll up the progress as well. That's one of the beauty of all of these softwares. And the last thing I wanted to highlight is step number 10, which is milestone. Remember I mentioned you must actually create milestones as much as possible. Here's how you create milestone. Usually you create milestone at much more earlier, not at the end of the steps. Yeah, but I just wanted to show you the steps, how it's done. So let's say I want the URS approval. I want to create a URS approval here. So what I do is I insert one column here. Right? And let's say requirement phase completed. All right, so that's a major milestone. Requirement phase completed. But you see something is hanging here. That's not good. So let's set up the predecessor to say that this milestone is after number 6. Right? So you will notice the bar is here now. Whenever there is a bar, that means it's an activity, it's not a milestone. So how do you define a milestone? So milestone is by entering the duration, you must make it 0 days. Right? So when you type 0 days, then it will become a milestone. Notice there will be a diamond shape. Diamond shape means it's a milestone. For any software that you use, that's the symbol for milestone. Let's try again. Right? So under the analysis phase, at the end of analysis phase, I want to create a milestone saying that analysis phase completed. So I press the insert key. Now there is a space there. I type there analysis phase completed. Alright, so one thing, it's hanging at the moment. So you link it with item number 12. So you will have a bar, right? So you can see a bar here. So we now have to convert this to a milestone. You put the duration as 0 days, right? So now it's a milestone, right? So now please do repeat this for coding phase, testing phase, and implementation phase. So let's try. Insert, coding phase completed, right? And link them up to number 18, right? That's the predecessor. And duration, make it 0 days. And next one, under testing phase, you insert. And you can say testing completed or testing phase completed. Right? Link them up, the predecessor to the previous one, 24, and 0 days duration. And of course, the last one, right? The last one, we do it this way. Last one is project completed. Once you type project completed, the predecessor is number 30 and duration is 0 days. Can you tell me when this entire project going to finish? All right, so now you know that the project will finish on November 3rd, right? And if you scroll up, right, if you scroll up at the beginning, line number 1, you can see IT project will start on this date, will finish on this date. You have a summary of the entire thing, right? So play along, test it out, right? That's almost like 50 minutes, if I'm not mistaken, this particular video. Make use of it, and yeah, if you want, you can share it with your colleagues as well. I mean, I think let's not be stingy with knowledge. Share it with all the colleagues. It's applicable for all the softwares, whether it's Primavera or MS Project or ProjectLibre. These are the basic things that you can do in scheduling, right? So I'll see you back in the class tomorrow. And let me end the recording and let me end the session as well. We'll catch up again.